Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. I'm Dylan. Joining me as always is Cam and Ben. And last week we did Dune. And I mentioned that I had never seen Christopher Reeve Superman movies. And Ben suggested we should watch Superman for the podcast. Here we are, watching Superman, the movie. To kick things off and get everybody in the right mood, we're going to go to this week's cocktail. It is the Black Superman.
Are they going to make this one, or are they just going to talk about putting it in development for a couple years and then just let it go away, like they did with the movie?
The second one. Not bitter, sounds like.
Sorry, Michael B. Jordan. No movie for you.
I will say Michael B. Jordan, I feel like, talks about making a lot of movies, and then a lot of them don't come out.
This one moved, I think, pretty far along, but then the whole, shenanigans
Strikes
with
stuff.
Well, the whole Warner Brothers doing a bunch of weird shit and then canceling a bunch of things, and then they brought James Gunn in, and I think right now that movie's just kind of sitting in limbo.
The Black Superman is a cocktail that gained popularity in the 70s and 80s, often associated with disco culture. Its name is believed to be inspired by the song Black Superman, Muhammad Ali by Johnny Wakelin and the Kinsa Band, which was a hit in 1975. This cocktail is a favorite among those who enjoy a strong, fruity drink with a little bit of a kick. It's a powerful, full-bodied cocktail with a sweet, fruity taste and a strong alcoholic undertone. It's a combination of tropical fruit flavors, dark rum, give it a unique, rich flavor profile. I feel like I'm reading like an AI-generated statement here.
Might be.
But to make one, it's 2 ounces of dark rum, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, 2 ounces of orange juice, a tablespoon of grenadine, and you make it in a highball glass. What's not to love? Yeah, if you want to do if you don't have dark rum, you want to do like a little even further tropical variation, you could use coconut rum and really just go full blown into the sweet tropical flavors. But yeah, there's not, I mean, obviously some of the ones were like were like, in the movie, they drink whiskey and here's a whiskey cocktail this one, the title.
He says it himself, man. He doesn't drink.
Yeah. Doesn't drink, doesn't lie, doesn't smoke.
He's over 21. He doesn't drink. That's all you got to know.
And he likes the color pink. Don't forget that.
Does like the color pink.
He likes pink underwear.
He didn't say that.
Oh, he didn't say that.
No.
He just said he likes the color pink.
In fact, he said he was just asked, do you like pink? And then he said, yes.
In context to something else.
Well, yeah, but even then, he didn't bring that up in the first place.
No.
You forget that he's socially inept.
No, Lois Lane is fucking cringe lord.
The whole interaction was cringy.
How big are you? Mean, tall. Huh?
Yeah. What color underwear am I wearing? I thought that was going to go a different direction. And he was like,
Also, who makes planters out of lead?
I don't know what time period
it was the 70s. They were making shit out of whatever they had.
Yeah.
Everything was lead paint. Lead paint and asbestos, baby.
Yeah,
build
they
that
their
shit
kids
to
lead
last.
paint chips.
Yeah.
Yummy. Tastes like iron.
Sea salt and vinegar. Lead chips.
They they're like, don't smoke. Why? Lung cancer? Not yet.
But you might get cancer. You might get cancer from the x-rays I'm currently pumping into your body.
If you were a loved one to have mesothelioma, please call this number now. What's the new one? If you were a loved one at Camp Lejeune between the years of 1990 and 2002, call now. Well, if you're looking for a tropical drink and you want to kind of get into the mood for to watch the Superman movie, make yourself a Black Superman. Check the show notes below for the recipe. And you can hit the Casker links to get yourself some rum delivered directly to your door. And head over to Instagram. Send us a picture of your Black Superman. Check out Superman the movie on Max as of recording, because we're going to spoil it. It's all right. It's a 50-year-old movie at this point.
There's not a ton to.
I haven't seen it either, though. So
there's not a ton to spoil.
The only one.
And I feel like the biggest part of this at the ending, I feel like has been riffed on a ton.
I forgot that this movie ended in the way it did, so yes. I was at least kind of surprised when it got there.
I thought it was the second one that did that, or do they do it in both?
There's no way they get away with that in both.
Okay. Okay.
They do it in both?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, I can't remember if they actually do it in the second one, but here's what I can tell you. I have watched the Donner cut of the second movie, and in one of the cuts they do it. I can't remember which one. I think it's the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Okay. I was going to say, like, I know everyone, like, hates or just disliked Superman 2, and I thought it was because of that. But maybe it's because they redo that whole ending again, which we can get to into a second. Superman is a 1978 action-adventure sci-fi film based off the comic books by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, written by Mario Puzo, directed by Richard Donner. It's the story of an alien orphan who's sent from his dying planet to Earth, where he grows up to become his adoptive home's first and greatest superhero. Currently sits at a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. It was nominated for 3 Oscars: Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Music Original Score. And then it won a Special Achievement Award for visual effects. So not something you would like be nominated for and win, but it stars Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent Superman, Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, Marlon Brando as Jor-El, Ned Beatty as Otis, Jackie Cooper as Perry White, Terrence Stamp as General Zodd for like a half minute. Does he come back later? I guess just spoil it for me now, Ben.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
we can talk about this now, I guess, if you want to get into this. They kind of filmed these movies, like 1 and 2, very much at a lot of the same time.
Well, at the end, doesn't it say coming next year, Superman 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they did a lot of them, like most of it was already shot by at the same time they were filming 1.
They pulled a Harry Potter 1 and 2.
So General Zodd is the bad guy in the second one.
That's good. Hopefully it's a better bad guy than Lex Luthor in this one.
General Zodd in Superman 2 is phenomenal. They bring back, and I kind of forgot the things that he says of, like the...
You will bow down before me, Jor-El. I swear it. No matter that it takes an eternity, you will bow down before me. Both you, and then one day, your heirs.
That's the famous, you will kneel before Zod. That's where that whole thing... I forgot that they kind of set that up in the first, 10 minutes of this movie, too. Yeah, the second one plays a lot more with the 3 Kryptonians.
I don't think Lex Luthor was necessarily a bad villain, per se, in this. But I think they, the tone of this movie is so all over the place. I feel like...
Yeah, that's the problem with Lex, though, is, first off, he's in an underground, he's living in the subway, that's kind of weird start to this guy, who's the head of a multinational corporation. And then, as you said, the tone with him is all weird. He's very serious, but he has this, but not that serious, because he, does weird quips. And then he has a sidekick guy who's, a bumbling idiot, who's, a comic relief, but he's not that funny. And then he has a woman hanging around that's, dressed in...
has literally nothing to do with anything.
And she just, she's just around to,
eye candy.
Dress around in
it's eye candy.
Scantily clad clothing. That's it. Yeah,
I was gonna say she's eye candy.
So the whole shtick just feels bad. This is, I don't know. I just was not a fan of it at all.
The issue they had with Lex Luthor is that I'm not super familiar with a ton of what Superman was like in the 70s. I don't know what Lex's ordeal was at that point. I don't know that he was the businessman, billionaire type that he is now, or it kind of has been in the comics for a while, as much as I think he was kind of in a weird transition between evil scientist and business tycoon type character. So I can't say for sure what he was in the comics at this point, because that might have been closer to what his character was back in the mid-70s when they were writing this.
Well, it's weird because he's he's got that like whole underground like subway train under the city thing that he's living in, but then like he's buying all that land, so he has money.
Right.
And
Or
he's just
he
kind
has
of on the
cash.
lam because the people are like looking for him, like the cops are trying to get him.
But are they looking for him?
yeah, at the very beginning, that's what they're doing when the one cop dies.
The guy like tails Otis.
Which again could also mean that, I mean, that money might not have come legally.
Yeah.
I mean, they talked about them breaking into the museum and things like that. So I mean, it's possible too. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that this movie's writing is perfect.
I think they just did him so wrong in this movie. Like I
I
said,
don't think as Lex in general he's bad. I think his portrayal in this movie's bad.
yeah, I think it's Gene Hackman, right, that plays him. I think he's fine. I think his like motives are fine. Like, oh, I'm gonna kill people and I'm gonna blow off California to build. I mean, that's definitely old ass.
Use me for land
Yeah,
development.
I was gonna say that's so old, like superhero.
Yeah, that's
plot.
such an old, like, oh my god, I'm gonna blow up half of California so I can sell land. Okay, bro.
I'm gonna commit mass murder to do some white collar
Man,
crime or something.
just wait until you guys watch Superman 2. Or if you really want to
God.
hate yourself, go ahead and watch 2005 Superman Returns.
Also, I really love. Oh, where's the other missile going? Oh, it's going to this place in New Jersey.
Lex, my mother lives in Hackensack.
Yeah.
Like, we're okay. All right.
I'll be honest, my biggest takeaway rewatching this movie, I forget how little Superman is actually in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see him until like the first half hour of the movie. It's literally almost the 30-minute mark that you see him. And even then, he just kind of flies out of the Fortress of Solitude, and then it's back to Clark Kent. And then, yeah, you kind of see him do, like, you know, when he does the helicopter rescue.
The montage.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking before that where he does the montage of saving. Or is it after that? He does the montage of saving
I think
people?
It's after, yeah. And then at the end of the movie, he does another montage of saving people all along the San
Then
Andreas
doesn't
line.
save Lois Lane and is like, oh my god, I didn't save her. It's like, dude, you could have, though. You just needed to go there first. What?
It's good in parts, I'll say. Like, I do I need the whole, like, 25-minute intro for who Superman is and all that? I mean, I guess maybe because this was the first movie.
I actually enjoyed that part. I actually liked that part. I liked Marlon Brando as
Jor-El.
the dad.
Jor-El.
Yeah, I liked him as Jor-El. I actually didn't mind that part.
It just felt a little long
so
for the whole movie.
It was a little long, but this is like this first.
Screen.
Is this the first superhero movie ever?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, one of the first big ones, probably.
Yeah.
It's like the genesis of what we know, I feel like, as a superhero movie now.
Yeah, so if you think about it, before this, you had the last like big screen superhero movie, at least of like mainstream superheroes, would have been in the 60s. So it had been probably about a decade, because Batman 66, the movie, came out, but that also had the TV show to help establish what everything, you know. Not that they really went into a lot of depth on Batman's background necessarily in that show, but by this point, yeah, there had not been, and I don't think, I mean, there had been cartoons and things like that for kids, but I mean, in terms of mainstream audiences, the serials in the no, never mind, the 50s TV show with George Reeves would have been it, but even then, yeah, that ended in the later 50s. So I mean, it had been almost 20 years since mainstream audiences really knew anything about Superman, so it made sense. Also, think about it, a couple different things to point out. There was talk of the missile going off and everything happening almost as being a cliffhanger ending to the movie, and then having the second one come out the next year picking up from there. Also, the fact that Superman 2 came out almost a year, like, really quickly after, and they were planning everything during. If you look at Superman 1 and Superman 2, like as a joint piece, you don't have to watch 3 and 4. In fact, never watch them. Don't do it. Bad. But 1 and 2 kind of being this connected joint piece, it makes a lot more sense for the second one that you have them establish what happened with Krypton, what with the Council, things with General Zodd. You really need that, and I think it works better doing it here as you're explaining the entire origin story versus trying to retroactively go back and do it during Superman 2. I think this is one that was almost planned to be like a 6-hour movie that was splitting in half.
I did not expect Krypton to just like totally get fucked. Like just the huge explosion. I was like, oh man, like, you know, they're gonna die, like it's gonna, you know, like crumble or something, and then it was just like,
yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Krypton is really an interesting. I you know, in the comic books, it's very, from what I remember of that time, feels very still 50s sci-fi-y. This felt to me so. Richard Donner was like, "How do we make this feel like a Star Wars planet? How do we do that? Black background, miniature kind of painting, dome shapes." It very much felt like they were like, "How should we design Krypton?" And they were like, "Go watch A New Hope a couple times, and then come back to me and show me what you think this should be."
While we're on the intro, though, like 3M hyper reflective outfits was a weird choice, and I don't know if that's like a practical thing or if that's like they did that in post, because I feel like it's so reflective. It takes out, like, it underexposes all the faces, so you can't really see what else is happening in the frame. It's just everyone else is like a highlighter. Just their bodies.
I don't know that they did it in post. Just also the fact that I don't know, but like even when they did like the reds in that as things were exploding, it looked very like a reflective red. Everything looked super reflective. Yeah, it was a weird. It was a bit much.
So I know we've kind of talked about this like in our friend group before when we like talk about like Marvel versus DC, that sort of stuff, like how Superman is kind of OP, like overpowered. So what is the deal with? Okay, so Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Is that's from Krypton?
Yes.
Right, like that is on the planet.
Yeah, pieces of Krypton,
and that's why they're not superpowered there.
No. So
no.
They're not superpowered there because their gravity is different and their atmosphere
they're not
is different.
superpowered there because they have a different sun.
Yeah.
It's the effects of the sun is what gives Superman his powers on Earth.
But then, so the Kryptonite is like the interior of Krypton, so like they never really experience it.
Kryptonite is the I mean, it's basically, so imagine just like an asteroid or something else that would fall to Earth, right? It was probably part of another celestial body at some point. Kryptonite is just pretty much that, but it's like a radioactive meteorite that's fallen.
Because I'm trying to figure out like
I
don't understand how Lex Luthor
knew radioactivity.
That Superman.
That part was crazy because he's like.
That part doesn't make any sense.
It together with the because it's radio, due to the explosion, radioactive pieces of that. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure how they put that together.
Well, Lois just like put all the secrets out in the world.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you can't look through lead planners. She's from Krypton.
Straight up put him on blast.
It blew up in like 55, so then he got here.
Yeah, but I still don't understand how Lex Luthor was like, oh, he's from Krypton, this radioactive rock that we found on Earth around the same time. That's his weakness because it's radioactive. It's like, how do you know that?
She's
how do
an
you
IQ
know, how
of
could you
200,
possibly
you
know
dense
that?
fuck. You're just too dumb.
He didn't
You're
show
just
it.
too dumb to
He
get
didn't
it.
show it in the movie. He's so smart. Why did he hire that dumb fuck to like not do anything right? And he kept him around.
Because it's cheap, Cam. It's cheap labor.
But he should know that he should pay. That's an investment, and that will return dividends.
Can't do it.
I'm just trying to figure out why, like, they would have never interacted with the Kryptonite on their home planet to where it like affects them like it does on Earth.
Because
it hadn't exploded yet, right?
Yes.
Like the Kryptonite is pieces of
From
Krypton
its
that were from the exploded
interior
planet.
core.
when it exploded
something.
is when it exploded is when it basically became
radioactive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. That makes more sense. I was just,
So basically,
I was just like, it's from his home planet. How would he have never
so
like?
Krypton's there, and then the whole like Chernobyl explosion happens and sends everything out, and that's when they become.
It's like the San
radioactive
Andreas
gases.
fault. When two continents start to collide, it causes
Exactly, and that's why we get earthquakes sometimes.
I mean, we've kind of discovered this. Like Cam and I, this is our first time ever watching this movie. Ben, I'm sure you've watched this numerous times. Your dad's a comic book guy. You're a comic book guy. Like,
Yeah, I have the DVD collection of all four.
It's weird that like two of those are probably really used, and then two of them aren't used at all.
Yeah. I think I watched a couple minutes of Superman 3 and was like, nah. And then Superman 4, I saw trailers for and was just, no, I'm good. I'm all right. I have no need. The Superman movies throughout that time after like Superman 2, it was like the Marvel Universe after Endgame, where it's like, you know what? People are kind of sick of it, but we're going to beat this horse till it stops spitting out money, you know?
Let's throw in Richard Pryor.
Yeah, what could go wrong? Hey, what if we took Superman and we split him and we also put in Dark Superman? That would be pretty cool. People will love to watch that. Oh, they didn't love to watch that? Okay, I guess maybe... Well, maybe we'll do another one. Oh, wait, hold on. Then the Christopher Reeve accident happened, and that's kind of when we stopped. But I have a feeling, even though Superman 4 flopped, they would have kept going.
The scene in the Arctic when Clark throws the thing, we get the Fortress of Solitude. That was a 12-year gap where he like learns all the knowledge in the world.
12 years, which is pretty crazy. I mean, he was on his flight from he was a baby, and then all of a sudden he was a little boy. Like,
dude, and then they,
like 3 years.
when they discover him, and he's just like T-posing like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs, like in the mirror. I was like, what? Why do we see a naked boy here? I don't want to see 70s, man.
The 70s were a wild time.
Yeah, I said Lex Luthor's kind of corny as fuck in this movie.
It's bad. That's probably one of my main complaints about the movie is Lex Luthor's bad. Honestly, I didn't like Lois Lane that much either. I feel like she was just like too horny. She was too horny.
Yeah.
I think that was the problem.
Well,
She was way too horny.
it's funny because, like, I don't know. So I think Christopher Reeve does an amazing job with, like, the duality of Superman. Like, there's the scene where he's talking to Lois at her apartment after she meets Superman, and he's kind of, like, takes off the glasses, and he's like...
Lois, there's something I have to tell you.
And then she ignores him completely, and he's like...
Then I decided, well, darn it, I was going to show you the time of your life.
He does a really good job kind of, like, separating, like, the totally awkward, like, kind of little hunched over Clark Kent, and then, like, the straightened, like... superhero deep voice Superman.
So people off camera were they'd kind of all said that the like no one's gonna get the whole he puts on glasses and that's the only difference, like there's no one's gonna recognize this. And then they were talking with Christopher Reeve when he was in like the Clark Kent hunched over and talking, and then they said when he took the glasses off and stood up, they were like, holy shit, like you're a completely different fucking person. And they're like, okay, no, we believe it. It makes sense. We get it. We get how this works now.
Well, and part of it too is like not like, yeah, that's the meme, but I mean, as you said, it's like, can you imagine like the most like milquetoast guy in your life is Superman? Like, no, you would never fucking believe it. Be like, man, Dylan's Superman? I just can't even believe that.
Thanks. But it's funny, like, Lois Lane is, like, super horn dog. she's super horn dog when
Yeah.
he's Superman, and then when he's Clark Kent, she's just like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. Like, I gotta go. I gotta be so like, this is the ladies' room.
Clark's nothing. Clark
Right.
is literally nothing. He is a trash. He is a piece of gum on the bottom of my
Like,
shoe. He's a mild annoyance
Seriously,
at
though,
best.
like he could.
He said that to a guy, and he was like, she said that to him. Was like, Clark means nothing. He's like, oh. Like he had to have been fighting back some tears there.
Clark, that little bitch.
That's what I said. I said Clark is about to cockblock himself with his relationship with Lois when he goes to meet her as Superman.
Well, I mean, okay, if you think about it though, like Clark is not his real identity, so he probably wants to be in a relationship with her as Superman, but can't for obvious reasons.
I guess.
It's so interesting that they literally almost did this exact same thing in Batman Forever, where Bruce Wayne and Batman are both basically like with the same love interest, and like throughout different times. The one time, like he's basically just trying to like work his way through it not being Batman, to be like, I don't want her to be in love with Batman. I want her to be in love with Bruce Wayne. So there's the famous meme of like the Batman with like the almost the Macaulay Culkin looking smile. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Let me see if I can find it. I'll drop it in the chat.
Wait, maybe I do.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I could.
So this was just the first thing I found.
He's so gumpy.
So the picture when he's got that stupid smile on his face, that's like right when she tells him like it's me. There's someone else. Like I've met someone else, and he means more to me. And like he walks out and he has the smile of just like I did it. But it just looks so. It looks so bad.
So stupid.
It looks so terrible. That's
I don't think I've ever seen that.
that's what it reminds me of when you're just like, I'm gonna go cock block myself. Was just a picture of Val Kilmer's face and that stupid look. It's just like that stupid smile. I just opened the chat and I just see I don't have the text from the top. I just have the two
didn't work
pictures,
either.
and it's just the dichotomy of it is hilarious. Okay.
All right, here you go. Here's
Uh,
the
For those of you who can't
So
see,
no-
for
oh,
those
there
of
it
you
is.
who can't see this because this is a podcast, just look up the Batman Forever meme and you'll know what we're talking
I
about.
was gonna say, just look up Batman Forever smile. It's the first thing that came up for me.
The first thing. Oh, it's so good. Oh,
That's so horrible.
oh, my face hurts.
Ben, I said, since we did Dune last week, the flying scene at night in here, the like keying or like grease screen, whatever they did, this movie was, 6 years before Dune?
So this was 78, yeah, and Dune was 84.
Yeah, it doesn't look half as bad as Dune's like night green screen scene.
Yes. I pointed out there is some of the flying scenes that there's a couple that really look rough.
The running scene at the beginning is so fucking funny.
The running scene with the train is the worst. Honestly, I was kind of impressed. I was like, this is not horrible. This is not horrible at all.
For the late 70s to do some of the stuff that they did with the flying was really good, really incredible. Some of it just does not age gracefully. Some of the scenes where you've got like the look over his shoulder and you can just tell it looks like they stuck something in front of the camera that was like the cutout of over his shoulder and then kind of just moved the camera around. And then some of the other, like, I'm assuming, I don't know if it was necessarily green screen or how they rotoscoped him in there, but some of that just looked, ugh.
I was a fan of the part where where he flew up behind the railroad. That looked pretty bad. And then he got on the railroad and acted
That's a
as
beam.
a railroad piece on the ground. Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like part of the problem is like because it's done on a wire, you literally cannot do like a natural like what you would do in the air. So it's literally like whenever he's turning, it's like kind of they're both turning. So it just kind of looks like if you were on like an osprey, like that's kind of how it looks almost.
That reminded me. Is it canonically accurate that Superman can transfer his flying powers like via touch?
No, he's just that strong.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think he's just that
He's
strong.
just that strong that he's holding her, I think.
Holding his... Okay, he was holding the tip of her fingers with his
he held a
tip
helicopter
of his
with one hand. I think he can hold Lois Lane by his fingertips.
Okay, that was improbable too. But I said, okay, you know what? Like, if you think of it like holding something, you know, like you could write that. But she was flying straight out like this, like with her arms out.
It's because they were talking about Peter Pan and Wendy, and then she's in the blue dress, and they're doing the little fingertip through the sky. Like,
I mean, I get it, but it looked like she literally got power
but then
transferred.
she fell. Like, that was the whole thing, you know?
Well, she fell after they let go.
Exactly, he wasn't holding her.
Duh. That's the whole point.
All right,
well,
he
if
wasn't
they transferred
touching
her powers, she wouldn't be flying.
I'm not saying transferred, but I'm just saying like it. Okay, the way the movie portrayed it was he is literally physically touching her, so therefore she can fly.
This man held a helicopter, literally terraformed the Earth, and you're questioning that he can hold a like 100-pound woman with his fingertips?
No. I'm saying how? Yeah, because okay,
he caught a bullet in midair.
Okay, I don't care how strong you are. Can't make this straight
how am I doing
with
it?
your hand like this.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
No, it's like this. It's like this. It's more like this, where you're holding something, the very tip of your finger, and you're like, oh, okay, how do I make this piece of paper straight by holding it with the tip of my finger? It's not like that. It's not. He's not holding her underneath. That's not how it is. I'll find a picture. Hold on.
Oh, Lord.
Richard Donner just wanted to make a really cool shot in the movie, and now we're going to sit here with a goddamn scalpel and dissect it like goddamn animals.
Okay, here, it's not as good because there was a point where he was holding her fingertips. But here's a picture.
They're literally holding hands.
Okay, but how is she? It doesn't. None of it makes any sense.
It does kind of look like a baby bird. Like
that's what I'm saying. She's like in there like this, and she would have to straighten her body out, like where she like it doesn't. It just doesn't make sense.
Like I don't think it. I think the thing is that like she feels weightless in that photo, and you wouldn't be weightless. You would still be heavy. He's just carrying your weight, is what you're saying. Like that's like
exactly. How is he? She would be flopping around. She'd be flopping around.
Fish.
Like she couldn't, like right now, this image, she has to have insane core strength and arm strength to maintain that. And that doesn't make any sense.
I feel like we're nitpicking. There's a fucking alien in this movie.
I know. This is a guy who
all right. But what I'm saying
here from a distant planet.
It took him 4 years to get here. He watched a video recording of his dad for 12 years to go to New York to be a writer.
Okay, but I can accept that. I can accept.
Flew around the Earth the opposite direction as the way the world spins.
Twice. He did 2 movies.
Okay, but.
It's a fucking time travel. But
okay, I know.
This is where we draw the line.
No. I haven't gotten to it yet, but that is the other time. That is the other part that I have an issue with. Is
that's not how orbits work.
About its axis on the other. Like it doesn't. That's not how this works. How does that work?
It doesn't.
On what? Like how is it possible?
It was dumb when he tried to do it again in the second one. It was terrible. It's been panned so bad by everyone.
These two things, because what it is it's not a suspension of disbelief anymore.
Kim, you don't understand. Jor-El tells you up front that he has powers he doesn't know about, and being able to spin the Earth backwards to fix time is that power. You know what Jor-El's biggest superpower was? The throwaway line, baby. The throwaway line that explains whatever you need it to.
It was Cam's.
I'm just rage posting pictures of this.
Flying.
Yeah, Jor-El has the super.
Power
to just be like, you have powers beyond your belief, and that power just so happens, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we'll find out at the end of the movie. Turns out, spoiler, you can fix time, dude. Welcome to 70s Superman, where you can just, we need Superman to do this crazy thing. Just give him another superpower. The dude had so many superpowers in the 70s. It was fucking ridiculous.
I can buy, like, there's suspending disbelief, but then there's, like, breaking your own rules, right? Of, like, it's not like these are superhumans, right? Like, how is she holding herself up like that? How is he holding her up like that? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, it's the same thing with the revolving around the earth. Like, it's like, okay, you can fly, you have X-ray vision. Like, he has all these, like, physical traits, and then... also I can spin around the earth and somehow cause it to time travel backwards. I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, yeah. I mean, as you said, it was rightfully panned, but it's just so comically bad. Like, I don't understand how anyone saw this and was like, yep, that's what we want. It's really cool. We're going to ship it.
Did anyone else find Lois and Superman stuff super, like, kind of cringe, in my opinion? The scene we're talking about here with the flying, the voiceover, can you read my mind? Do you know what it is that you do to me?
Here I am, like a kid out of school, holding hands with a god. I'm a fool.
This was 100% a dude who was like, chicks are going to love this.
Probably.
We really need to get women in the theater. I know. Let's just focus on the dude in spandex who's good looking. We should put more of him in... No, I've got it. Guys, check out this poem I wrote. It's going to bring all of the chicks in.
Like, it doesn't... I feel like it doesn't fit at all. Especially the fact that it's voiceover. Like, we talked about this in Dune, all the use of voiceover, and in this, where it was, like, just kind of cringe. And I was like, oh, God, like... Even if you're, like, in this love scene, I don't think we need that. I think we can infer from all the other weird things you guys say to each other. I don't think we need this.
This man is still posting shit on the goddamn physics of them flying in the chat. Let it go. Let it go.
Look at the video. Look at the video.
Go.
I watched the movie.
Look at where the video at the time. No, but look at the video at the time that I put, okay? She is still flying comfortably as they are holding fingers. Fingers! Like, she is somehow maintaining... I know that I came back to it. I know, I'm sorry. But, like, they're holding on fingers and she's still cool up until the point where they let go and then she instantly...
Maybe it's because her arms are out and they're traveling so fast.
She's a bird. If you're a bird, I'm a bird.
It's just literally like it's more like if you put your hands out like on a roller coaster, right? And it's just the wind pulling you back. Maybe she's got her arms out and it's just being pulled back like that.
Again, I think she should be, if this is how this is, I think she should be flopping around.
Yeah, because that's what everyone wants to see
him.
in a movie theater. It's just some lady flopping around in the wind.
Why do you think you never
plastic bag? Fucking American Beauty style of just some 30 seconds of voiceover of her reading this fucking poem while she's just fucking flopping around the screen.
Her cheeks are like... We're
Can
going so fast, Superman.
Can you read my mind?
Are you... I don't know who you are. If you need someone, come to me.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly.
Well, you think if he's reading her mind, is he getting all of that? Is he getting, like, the wind resistance in her thoughts?
I think it would have been so much better if she was just ragdoll.
Or just imagine she's like, can you read my mind? Holy shit, how am I flying like this? Physically, it just doesn't make sense.
Physically, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm not a doctor, but...
I'm not a pilot, This doesn't make any sense.
According to all known laws of aviation, bees shouldn't be able to fly. Their fat bodies are too big for their tiny wings.
I hope whoever's listening to this is getting as much out of it as I am.
Yeah. The movie would have been better for that. Because we would not have gotten the cheesy dialogue you just mentioned. We've just been here flopping.
Bonk Lois. Go to horny physics jail.
Or like hold her better. Like, yeah, all right. I would buy it if he was like balancing her, or even holding his arm, holding her arm like,
Yeah, like further
like, you know,
down.
like
Like
grip
Predator
style?
handshake style. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Oh God. Apparently, this is fantastic. I did not know this. Apparently, it was originally supposed to be a song. Margot Kidder was supposed to have a song in the movie.
Okay, that would have been so much worse.
Apparently, he heard her singing and was like, "We're just gonna have it be a spoken poem."
Yeah, Margot, I know this was going to be the start of your singing career, but I would rather listen to a cat die. Sorry.
Hey, Margot. So we can do this song, but here's the thing. We're gonna have to recast you. Sorry. Ooh.
I wonder if it was literally the same, because it does kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it rhymes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you read
Yeah,
my mind? Do you know what you do to me?
oh my goodness.
I'll sing it. I'll do the number.
Nice, Dylan. Nice. You should do that whole thing and record it and release it on Spotify.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Is that what
probably
the
not.
kids do, or is it still SoundCloud?
Yeah, no,
Maybe it's
I
SoundCloud.
think it's SoundCloud.
You should do SoundCloud.
It's easier to do SoundCloud, I think.
Do it, Dylan. Do it. 5, 4, 3. Do it, Dylan. Do it. 2.
No.
Do it. Do it.
Will you look at
Do it.
me, quivering like a little girl, shivering?
Man, when this comes out and this is cut,
This sounds like Richard Cheese.
You can see right through me. Can you read my mind?
Release the song cut.
Nope, that's all gonna get cut.
No, it can't be. You have
Release
to
the
put that
Donner
in.
cut.
You have to put
give
that
us
in.
the Donner cut. Man, I can't wait till the end of this podcast where Dylan just flies around backwards until we never recorded it.
Yeah, there were lots of good parts about the movie, though, as you said before. Like, I mentioned this already, but Marlon Brando's Jor-El was pretty good. I think the opening sequence, given that we had never... This was like the first Superman movie really in mainstream, I think was fine to spend that much time on it. Honestly, I thought that his parents the Kents were pretty genuine. That was good. I mean, Christopher Reeve in general was really good. Like, as he's just like, I think he plays the part really well. In general, like, a lot of the CGI or practical effects held up okay. Like, it's shockingly not horrible. I feel like most movies from this era, with the exception of like Star Wars, are like horrible CGI hold up. Like, you watch them and you're like, oh my god. I mean, you guys were just saying like the Dune CGI is worse and it came out 10 years later. Like, it's bad.
Yeah, the Dune CGI was rough.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I've seen the scene where they like turn on their like shields and then go at
it's
each
like
It's-
blocks.
Oh.
They're like Roblox characters.
Yes. Oh my god.
So, an interesting thing about the Kents in this movie that you just mentioned, this was the first time that both Kents weren't alive for Superman as an adult. Throughout the comic books at this point, both Jonathan and Martha Kent were alive well into Superman's adulthood. And throughout comics on and off, they kind of have, or there's been different stories where they've had John that Clark's dad has died earlier on, and somewhere where he's still around. But this was the first one where it was like, oh yeah, he's like a teenager, and kind of that whole thing where it's like that. There's just that, which I think was cool. I know there's other stories that touch on it more. I don't love how they did it in Man of Steel, but in other mediums where they've done it, where Clark's dad dies of cancer, and it kind of goes to show that no matter what he does, sometimes you can't save everyone. I always just thought that was such a kind of a cool caveat to put.
I mean, it's the superhero rite of passage, right? Like your father figure dying.
But just, I mean, like I know in Spider-Man's case in the comics with Uncle Ben, it was a thing where it's like, you could have prevented this, and this was kind of you, but like the guy who literally can do anything, even fix time. No matter what you do, you cannot go back in time and stop your dad from getting. No matter what you do.
Why didn't he just fly around his dad a bunch to just reverse time on his dad? And
to do what? I mean, he still would have gotten to the point where he would have died at that point.
Yeah,
well,
but you just keep doing that. You just keep doing that.
I guess if that's how you want to live forever,
you just make him younger.
You just want you want to spend your entire life Groundhog's Daying someone, go for it. But it's a lot. Also, I just imagine like he's like 20 and Superman's mom is still like 60 something.
Okay,
just like oh shit.
Have him do a hug and then do it.
I don't think you can do it just that specific of a time. I think you have to fly the whole Earth. I don't think it works if the Earth keeps spinning in the same way. Because otherwise he would have changed time when he spun into the sewer, with how fast he was going to drill down.
Well, but he wasn't going. He wasn't going like this. He was rotating.
He was just rotating himself. Got it.
Yeah.
What's Clark's mom's name?
Martha.
Why did you say that name?
I knew where it was going.
The dumbest plot
I fucking
point.
knew where it was going, and I still let myself walk into it.
The dumbest plot point of any superhero movie.
I never watched Smallville, but I kind of like seeing like teenage angsty Clark Kent being like, I could win the football games. I could get the cheerleaders. I can do all these things. And he's like, you're just showboating, Clark. You don't need to do all that. And then, we get the worst effect in the world.
Where he, kicks the football like 1,000 yards.
I was expecting, once it cut to the train, I was expecting the football to hit the train.
He's going to throw a football over the mountains.
I was not expecting a really bad him running with the train scene.
Oh, God.
There was a split second where I feel like I saw the camera operator's reflection in the train.
You probably did.
Like it passed by the camera, and I feel like I saw the reflection of the camera operator.
You probably did. There's the scene after Lois like turns him down, and she goes into the ladies' room, and he like sad walks to the elevator.
Yeah.
You can like see like as he goes to around that corner, you can see the extra like who's walking past the camera, like look up and glance to see the camera, or like an assistant director or something, like signal him. And then he walks, because he's like looking at these papers, and he like looks up and then like keeps going.
So this is kind of an interesting, and I don't know how much of it kind of crossed over, but in Superman 2, they used like mirrors all over the Daily Planet to make it look like the hall was longer, like when they have like the row of cubicles. So it's impressive that they didn't run into issues with that. So I have a feeling they had to film it like at specific angles to make sure nothing looked weird. You guys want to dive into a little bit of trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
We talked about Marlon Brando. It's interesting because I don't think this was Brando's best performance of his career. It was pretty notorious that he had, for lack of a better word, checked out at this point. In fact, he told Richard Donner when they were doing like rehearsals, just record it, because we might get it just in the first rehearsal, and we won't have to do it again. So like he was pretty adamant about like not wanting to do anything. In fact, this isn't part of the question. This is just a fun fact. How his face appeared in the Fortress of Solitude. He was like, why does it need to be my face? Let's just do like a green like donut or something, and then we can just do my voiceover work over it. Like he just was like, I don't need to be on camera to do this. So with that, he was pretty notorious for not really having his heart in this. In fact, he couldn't bother to memorize the monologue he gives to baby Clark before he sends him in the rocket. Do you guys know how he knew the lines? Do you need multiple choice? Or does anyone want to know? Does anyone know before I give multiple choice?
Were the lines in the baby crib thing that he put Superman into? Like, that's my guess.
So the lines were not in the rocket ship.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can tell you that.
Is it cue
so
cards?
Here's a couple options. He used cue cards off camera. That's option 1. Option 2, he read the lines off of the baby's diaper. Or option 3, he was fed the lines off screen by Richard Donner.
It can't be the diaper, right? It'd be too small. I feel like it'd be too small for that.
Be impressive. Or that baby's got a
Big ass.
huge baby. It wasn't a baby. It was actually a grown man in a diaper the whole time.
The diaper went all down his
I'm gonna-
legs.
I guess. I guess I'm. I'm gonna. I mean, maybe I think he just got fed the lines. Maybe just someone literally told him what to say.
I'm gonna say the classic cue cards.
Ooh,
It's
you're
the
both
diaper.
wrong. He read the lines off of the diaper. Yes, the lines were on the baby's diaper. That is. I don't know. Maybe he only had like a couple that he used just to kind of like trigger
Oh, yeah.
words. I don't know, but like, yeah. He used the baby's diaper to read the lines off of, off screen. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's how he was just kind of like, nah, all right, we'll do what we can. All right, so that's goose eggs on the board. We'll keep moving. So this one I'm not going to give you multiple choice. It's going to be too easy. So when Christopher Reeve auditioned and was cast, he was pretty skinny. In fact, to his first audition, he layered up. He had worn like a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and then he put on this kind of bulky blue sweater to make himself look bigger when he went in to do his screen test. After he was cast in the role, he went on to pack on the pounds, and he did this by following a workout regimen and getting trained by another actor.
Gotta be Schwarzenegger.
This actor that trained Christopher Reeve for this to help get his Superman build was famed for playing what Star Wars character?
Right? Oh. Huh. Star Wars character. Oh. I think I got it.
All right, Dylan.
That's my guess. I got a guess.
Do I have to know the actual actor's name? Or no, I just have the character.
No, you
Nope,
have to get.
not looking for the
guess
actor.
it.
Looking for the character.
Do we get bonus
character
points
they
if we
played.
can name the actor's name?
No.
I mean, my guess is gonna be Chewbacca.
I'm gonna guess David Prose as Darth Vader.
It was in fact Darth Vader.
Yeah. David Prose is a big fucking guy.
Yes, do you guys remember in A Clockwork Orange?
Oh yeah.
The big dude who kept carrying around the guy that they
Yep.
like paralyzed or whatever. Yeah, that was him. So
Yeah.
he's a pretty big yoked dude. So
I thought Chewbacca for a second, but I was like, no, he was just tall. He wasn't like built. It's like maybe it's Han Solo, but that doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's
sense
exactly
either.
like my thought process.
It's like, oh, it's Darth
I was
Vader.
like Harrison Ford, but he's
All
not
right.
like cut or like he's not like.
Ian McDermott, the Emperor.
So we talked about Lex Luthor's lair being in this subway, I don't know, hideout. This was shot in somewhere overseas. I think it was shot in the UK. But obviously it's a Metropolis subway station. Apparently Metropolis is in Ohio because there is a bag from an Ohio restaurant chain that can be seen
Oh no.
in the lair. I'll I'll go ahead and give you guys options, but from what food chain is this bag? Is it from Tony Packo's? Is it Arthur Treacher's? Marco's Pizza? Or Skyline Chili?
Skyline Chili. I'm locking it in. Skyline Chili.
Is it not too new? Has this shit been around since the 70s?
No. I think Skyline Chili's been around for a while. I don't know if Marco's has been around since then.
What was the first two? Tony Packo's? And
Tony Packo's? Arthur
It's been around for a
Treacher's?
while.
I'm going with Tony Packo's. I don't even know what the hell that is, but
You don't know what Tony
Tony
Packo's?
Packo's
I'm not
is?
well versed in the Ohio-ness.
Wow.
I guess.
Jesus Christ. Watch
But
an episode
Toledo's
of MASH.
basically Michigan.
You chungus. You were both wrong. It was Arthur Treacher's.
I don't know what that is.
So Arthur Treacher's was a big chain in Ohio. It grew to I think all kind of throughout the Midwest, up to I think it was 800 locations. Now there's only 2. They're like a fish. It's like a fish sandwich, fish and chips type fast food place. Yeah, you can see an Arthur Treacher's bag sitting in Lex Luthor's hideout.
I think I saw the guys who did Superman are from Ohio, so from Cleveland or something.
Yeah, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Interesting fun fact I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about. I think I can talk about it. My brother's working on his design firm is working on a Superman statue that's going to be in downtown Cleveland.
That's pretty cool.
He knows what it looks like. My dad has apparently seen it. They're not allowed to talk about what it is or what everything looks
It's
like.
the RoboCop that was in Detroit.
Just
You know?
left out. Yeah, kind of, but cooler because it's a kind of.
I mean, I
bigger
guess
deal.
once actually from the city, Superman doesn't have fucking ties to Ohio. He's just fucking created there by some nerds.
Wow, real mature, Dylan. Real mature. I've got one more, and then I've got a tiebreaker.
You probably don't
question.
need it.
We don't need it.
This one's
I'm going to sweep.
all right. Cool. Which director was originally offered the chance to direct Superman until the producers balked at his asking price? Was it George Lucas?
Yeah,
Steven
probably.
Spielberg? John Carpenter? Or Stanley Kubrick?
I'll let you go first, Cam, since you're winning.
I feel like if you try and get Kubrick at this time, you know that he's going to cost a lot of money. So you were like, yeah, maybe not. Spielberg was already, George Lucas was also kind of successful. Pretty successful with Star Wars. I guess John Williams did the score. I'm going to say George Lucas. Carpenter would be funny, though. It could be him, I guess.
No, because I think Halloween.
Because maybe that's why they were surprised at his asking price. Maybe they're like, wait, why do you want that much money?
I don't think so, because I think Halloween came out around this time. It's got to be one of the other 3. I don't think it was George Lucas, because I don't think Star Wars is still going on, so I don't think they'd be like, hey, man, you want to come do this too? I mean, granted, obviously he didn't...
Well, okay, you say still going on, but there was a lot of time between Star Wars and Star Wars episode... Well, I guess 5 now. There was a lot of time. Episode 1 came out in the 70s. Or, sorry, 4, whatever. 5 came out in the 80s, though, I think. And then 6 came out later in the 80s. I think. I could be wrong on that, but...
I can't remember. Did the last... One of them came out in 80. One was 7... A New Hope was, I think, 74.
Empire was 80.
One of them was Empire 80? Okay,
Yeah.
then Return was 83, I think.
Yeah, it was. So there were a good 6 years between New Hope and Strikes Back.
Part of me wants to say Kubrick, 'cause I feel like he would ask the most.
But I feel like they wouldn't be surprised at the asking.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe he would have asked a shit ton because it was something just that he didn't really want to do. I'm gonna go Spielberg. He wasn't I feel like he wasn't quite the Spielberg that we know today. I'm trying to think maybe Close Encounters came out already. Maybe Jaws had come out already. I think both of those probably. So he wasn't like Jurassic Park came out in the 90s, Schindler's List was 90. A lot of the big stuff I think came out later. So I'm going to go with Spielberg.
Man, looks like I'm going to be pulling out that tiebreaker. It was
Nice.
Steven Spielberg. Jaws came out in 75. So at the time that they were casting for this, or that they were looking to hire someone for this movie, Spielberg was still, I mean, realistically, he had done his TV movie Duel, another TV movie Something Evil, and that was pretty much it. Close Encounters, I think, came out around the same time. Oh, actually, it came out in 77. So by the time this movie came out, Jaws had been released, but the producers did not. They balked at the salary that Spielberg asked for, and they said they decided they wanted to wait until they saw how, quote, his Little Fish movie did at the box office. Jaws went on to be literally like the first summer blockbuster and was a huge success, and Steven Spielberg went on to do other projects as opposed to doing Superman. So, way to go. The producers on this were apparently like notoriously not people that directors and filmmakers wanted to work with. That's why Richard Donner was fired. Margot Kidder also was kind of frustrated with the producers. That's why after Superman 2 and Superman 3, she's only in like a couple minutes of the movie. So let's go ahead and we'll dive in here to the tiebreaker. This is we'll just go closest. I'm not worried about closest without going over. So like I said, they shot a lot of Superman 1 and Superman 2 kind of going on simultaneously with the plan that they were going to release it a year later. When Richard Donner was fired from production on Superman 2, can you tell me, closest to tell me, how much of Superman 2 had Richard Donner shot when he was fired?
Like a percentage, or?
Yes, percentage.
I'm gonna go for the meme and it be like 95%.
I'll go for 69%.
Nice.
Oh, nice, man. It was 75%. He had shot 3/4 of the movie.
Let's go.
When he was fired by the Salkins. One that I didn't know how to turn into a question, but I thought was super interesting. Which this one doesn't really make sense because this movie came out in what, 78?
Yeah.
So after Rocky kind of came out and blew up, Sylvester Stallone lobbied pretty hard to play Superman.
Oh God.
Sylvester Stallone found out that it was Marlon Brando who vetoed the casting.
Huh. Why?
Allegedly, I don't know, but allegedly there was another person who had been cast in a famous movie that Marlon Brando notoriously vetoed.
Oh, I vaguely recall this, but I don't remember what it was. I feel like we talked about
Burt Reynolds.
Okay. In what movie?
I guess for The Godfather.
Oh. Okay.
Burt Reynolds, I guess, was supposed to be cast as Sonny in The Godfather, and
Oh, I like that.
Brando apparently told an interviewer that Francis would never have cast Burt Reynolds, even though it was kind of talked about that he'd been cast. I guess Sylvester Stallone went on a late night show and pretty much said he has no respect for Marlon Brando as an actor or as a man. Yeah. This shocked a lot of people because obviously a lot of film stars at that time were modeling their careers or trying to model their careers after Marlon Brando, and he was the first to kind of come out. But I guess a lot of people, Christopher Reeve even said, I think he was on Letterman, maybe in the 80s. I can't remember. But he did an interview where he was basically like, yeah, Marlon Brando just phoned it in. He didn't try. He just showed up to cash the check. It was no, I would have loved to have gotten to work with the Marlon Brando people talk about, but that was not my experience in working with him on this movie. One thing, otherwise, I just want to hit on this fucking theme song, man. John Williams, just another fucking home run.
This is the John Williams Stan account.
This leads into something I wanted to talk about. Does this rank in top 5 John Williams scores, or at least like themes?
I mean, yeah. So those are two different
Top 3.
questions. Themes for sure. Scores is questionable, but themes for sure.
Yeah. I guess that's yeah. I would say in terms of themes, yes. Yeah, I think this score is okay. The theme is probably in my top. I think it would be, I'd say Star Wars, Raiders.
Vader's theme has got to be up there, like the Imperial March.
Yeah, I'd say Star Wars, Raiders. I'd put this over Jurassic Park, but that's just my personal. Yeah, this one's in the top 3 for me.
I mean, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Raiders, Harry Potter, Jaws.
But the theme for Jaws? I don't know. Yeah, that's
like
true.
that's so iconic. Harry Potter, so iconic. I mean, hell, this is so iconic. I've never seen this movie, and I heard that theme song, and I was like, I know this. How do I know that? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's been used more like since then.
They did incorporate this theme into Justice League as a nod, but yeah, I don't know. This one for me is it hits. I love it. It's like I said. I think I would put it in the Raiders, Star Wars, and this theme. I think those would be like the 3 for me that I would be like, this is the I think like the S tier.
That's what we need. We need a tier ranking of themes.
I mean, if it's not top 5, it's on the border, I will say. Like, I think the ones I named.
You don't have this as top 5?
No.
I feel like it is top
Harry
5. I think Harry Potter's got to go out of the top 5.
Absolutely not.
Harry
Potter.
Potter. Get
Out of
the
the
fuck
top
out of
5.
here.
It's good, but
It's
top
iconic.
5?
If you hear the first 2 notes, you're like, oh shit, the Harry Potter theme.
I mean, that's the same with any of the themes this man writes. That's like
Not the Superman one.
that's-
If I heard the first 2 notes of the Superman one, I would have been like, I don't know.
Are you serious? Come on, that's BS. I don't know. I think
I
the
guarantee
thing
you,
is-
if I played you 3 that went dun dun dun, you'd be like, oh shit, I know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, obviously, like, being a great theme is just like the entry price to get in. But top 5, I don't think Harry Potter's in there.
That's some
opinion.
barnacles.
I think Star Wars
I
is
would
there.
say-
I think Raiders is there. I think this is there.
I don't know that Jurassic Park's there.
Yeah, I would.
Up.
I don't know.
All right, you guys. I don't believe anything just coming out of your mouth now at this point.
All right, I'm gonna look it
The
up. I'm gonna
Jurassic
look up
Park
John
theme
Williams.
is literally probably one of the most iconic movie themes of all time.
Oh, yeah, when the fucking meme came out and it was like, what are those? I'll be honest, I wouldn't have, before we did Jurassic Park for the pod, I don't think I would have picked up on it, hearing it. I would have been like, oh, that sounds familiar, but it wouldn't have been like, oh, that's Jurassic Park.
So here's the other problem: is I actually think 2 themes of his that are in the top 5 are from Star Wars. I think the main title theme and I think the Imperial March are both so iconic. I think they both go in. And then you got Raiders for sure. And yeah, I mean, I think it would be this. And then I might round it out with Jurassic Park. There's others I haven't accounted for, like Schindler's List, maybe Saving Private Ryan. I don't know. I mean,
I don't
those
think
aren't
either of those,
memorable.
neither of those really had memorable.
You're telling me when they fucking enter the park and they see the Bronchiosauruses and the fucking theme is going. That is not one of the most iconic movie moments of all time, Ben.
I said that it goes in the top 5. Okay, then Harry Potter's out. Sorry.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry, I don't hear dun 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 without seeing Christopher Reeve run and opening his fucking shirt to reveal the Superman logo. This is the fucking Superman theme. This was the Superman theme. Fuck, it still is the Superman theme.
The movie sucks. 0 out of 10. Let's move on to review so I can shit on this piece of garbage. I'm just kidding.
Wow. But then it's like, I mean, Jaws is also iconic, but I wouldn't say it's like a banger, but it is iconic.
I don't know. I feel like at least when I think of John Williams, I think Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, but that might just be because I've watched all the Harry Potter films a billion times. And then it's probably either this or Jaws. I mean, I've never seen Schindler's List, so like I can't really talk about the Schindler's List theme, but like,
And
I mean, I know Close Encounters.
yeah, I don't know.
Or
See,
E.T.
John Williams to me, it's Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and it's Superman. Those are like those are the three movies I immediately think of when I think of John Williams.
This is part of the show where we scour Letterboxd, we scour IMDb for some less than favorable reviews. Some of them people don't like the movie, some of them just memes, but I found a couple good ones. I'll lead off with this one, Ben, that you might feel pretty at home with, maybe. I don't know. It says from Yijin on Letterboxd, gave it 3.5 stars. It says, "This is my dad's favorite film. He even brought my mom to see it on their first date. 30 years later, when this was on TV, my mom admitted to all of us that this was a pretty shitty date because my dad was so transfixed by the movie, he didn't pay attention to her at all. What a nerd."
Ooh. Ouch. Combo breaker. You just imagine the dad turns this on every time. He's like, "Oh, kids, let me tell you the story of me taking your mom on our first date. After 30 years, he's finally like, this date sucked. You're lucky I kept going out with you." He's like, "Oh man, I was gonna play the Superman theme at our 30th anniversary party."
We've renewed our vows to this song.
Oh my God.
My wedding vows were that Paul Margot theater wrote. Can you read my mind?
If you need someone to fly to me. Everyone's just looking around like, is that the Superman poem?
Everyone's just sitting there like, I just know there's two people. I just picture like two people in the church pews, like in the back of the church, just like, that scene didn't even make sense. The physics were all over the place.
They were flying by fingertips. He doesn't transfer his power to her.
She would have been flailing like a bag in the wind if this were real.
She should have just been a rag doll.
Okay, but for real.
From the shook one on Letterboxd, gave it 3 stars out of 5. Said, "Funny. Exactly 40 years after LSD was invented, they produce a movie tailor-made for a trip through colorful Gaga land. Being lost in a world consisting of exuberant special effects and stupid humor, this really feels like the great granddad of modern Marvel/DC menaces."
I mean, yeah, this kind of was like the grandfather of those movies. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it kind of is realistically formulaic kind of to what the Marvel formula is, right? You spend like your first kind of especially in like phase 1 or even newer phase when you're introducing a new superhero, you got like your first like third of the movie
Origin
introduce
story.
the character, you give him the origin story. The second half, you introduce the villain. They have some sort of evil plot, but like it's not like super bad, Like it's bad, but it's not like super dark. Normally, it's still kind of lighthearted, and then the final third, you have like the climax of the movie / superhero battle. Maybe in that middle part of the movie, you might see the hero doing something that they might be doing something cool, like catching a helicopter or saving up a plane that's gonna crash or whatever. But I mean, yeah, realistically, it's the formula.
Is it normal for newspapers to have their own helicopters?
Well, okay. So again, here's the
like
interesting.
A newspaper?
Some news, yes, but I don't know about newspaper.
Yeah, I think that was different.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they chartered it for something. I don't know. But in the comic books, I think it was a little bit later than when the movie came out. Lois and Clark did end up actually working for like a news station for a brief point. I'm surprised they haven't kind of gone back into that because print media is dying. So I'm kind of shocked that they haven't really changed their, investigative journalist to like investigative reporter for, I don't know, X, Y, Z
online newspaper.
News. I mean, yeah. I'm surprised she's just not writing for BuzzFeed at this point, right? Hard hitting news. Thanks, guys. appreciate the reaction to the BuzzFeed hard-hitting news joke.
They're out of business.
Loved it.
Aha!
Loved it.
That's true. They don't even
appreciate
do
it.
news anymore.
I have no idea. I just remember there was a brief
How
time
are
where
we? How are we ever gonna know what type of Pop-Tart we are? You know, that's really.
Okay, their news department was actually okay.
Well, that's what I was getting at, because I remember that thing where it was like, oh, BuzzFeed for all the quirky quizzes, and then it was like, wait a minute, BuzzFeed's out here just like fucking dropping major news breaks. Like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
All right, last one from Poe467 on IMDb. Gave it a 1 out of 10 stars. Titled "Still Stinks" from March 25th, 2009. I fell for the hype. You will believe this man can fly. Boy, did I want to see this one. Superman has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. He's always there. Maybe not up front where he used to be when I was a kid, but he's there nonetheless. It's hard to express the kind of love one feels for a character one has grown up with. Even now, after all these years, the eyes well up and the heart breaks at the memory of a lonely childhood spent living vicariously through comic books. This guy was there, parentheses, and there for me when no one else was. For so long, I finally stopped buying comic books when they went from a reasonable 12 cents to a whopping 15 cents. I'd bought the occasional Gold Key or Dell comic at the higher rate, but they were few and far between. DC and Marvel had been my mainstays. By the time Superman the movie came along, my taste ran more to sports like boxing and real books that had no illustrations on the covers, or other than on the covers, and women. But just seeing that familiar blue and red costume again was all it took. I made up my mind to go see this movie. Something vital had been rekindled in me. My heart soared as it hadn't been in a very long time. Maybe not in a reason to live kind of way, but certainly in a I can't wait to see you again, old friend kind of way. This one meant that much to me at the time. Then I saw it. Seeing Superman the movie reminded me of the day I was propositioned by my very first girlfriend. She'd literally become a hooker in the few years since I'd known her and didn't even recognize me. It's amazing how many people there are out there who'd willingly sell their soul if only there were a buyer. And that just ends there.
That was weird.
What?
I saw Superman. It was like when when my ex-girlfriend became a hooker and tried to have sex with me. But what about the movie?
Yeah, that's
You need to go to therapy, my guy.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Also,
Bro.
not
May I interest you in a Dune 2 popcorn bucket, my guy? Because you sound like you need
Hey,
it.
that would have been a reason to live. Not a I can't wait to see you get old friend.
It's only I can't wait to see you again, old friend, after you pull it out of storage.
Only when Dune 3 comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Or it comes out on streaming on Max. You can pull out the popcorn bucket.
It's a little sticky and musty.
Well, I hope you cleaned it after. You know, popcorn gets this buttery and it, leaves a residue.
Popcorn?
You really want to clean it. Yeah, you really want to clean it.
Ah!
My Arrakis. My Dune popcorn bucket.
The shy Halluci.
I hope you guys made enough of these jokes
we
in
did.
the last
There's about
episode.
5 minutes of us.
Oh yeah.
Popcorn
Oh yeah. There's quite a bit of time.
Cam and I, the Goop Squad, we'd never seen Superman the movie. So you're going to get 2 fresh ratings from us. And then Ben is going to give you a nostalgia rating on probably his 80th viewing now. He's going to give you an updated rating. So, Cam, lead us off. What did you think on Superman the movie?
The thing that struck me with this one is I feel like it started at a higher rating when I started watching the movie and then finished lower. Like, when I first started watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. This feels like an 8 out of 10 for me. And then, as we kind of talked about, there was the tone, weirdness. I hated Lex Luthor. I hated the ending. It was horrible. Through everything that it went through, I'm going to leave it at a 6. I think there are definitely strong points about the movie that we've covered. Christopher Reeve is really good. And I do recognize that it had a lot of impact on the movies we get today. So that's all great. But yeah, I just wish that they had done a couple things differently. But otherwise, it was decent. Like, I would still recommend to people to check it out, but it's not my favorite.
Also, never have seen this movie, but like the score, I knew the score. I knew the meme of the ending. Like, it's kind of permeated pop culture so far, beyond, just kind of being the granddaddy of superhero movies, but like it's permeated culture beyond that. I feel like for me, having seen Superman Returns, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, I feel like to me, Christopher Reeve is Superman. When I think of the character of Superman and Clark Kent, like Christopher Reeve kind of personifies that, and he does that job so well, like we talked about earlier, of kind of keeping those two separate, and even his like body is like he's kind of like the hunched over awkward guy when he's Clark Kent, and then he's straightens up and he's Superman. Cinematography is pretty damn good. It's kind of interesting watching these older movies, especially since like I feel like most of the older ones we've watched haven't been as sci-fi or effect heavy as like Dune and Superman now have been. And it's interesting seeing how they kind of tackled some of these things. Story, it's okay. Like, yeah, Lex Luthor kind of sucks, but I think his plan is evil enough, and the end goal part is like just enough to get us this crazy action sequence at the end of like, shit, Superman has to put the Earth back together basically, and then save all these people. Yeah, I'm kind of with Cam where I was like, it's pretty good so far. And then once you get the corniness, it's like, all right, I kind of wish it was a little more serious with the supervillain part, but I'm going to leave it at a 5 out of 10. I'm not the biggest superhero person in general, so like maybe that's kind of affecting it, but I think it's good. I would recommend you watch it just for like, if you want to see where superhero movies have come from. I'd watch it again. Honestly, it wasn't bad.
Okay, this hasn't been as poor as I was expecting it. So I think going in, I probably have this at like a 7.5. When it's been a while, I don't think I've seen this movie in. It's been years. I don't think I've seen it probably since I was in high school. It's hard to separate Superman 1 and Superman 2. I mean, there's things that you obviously separate. A lot of obviously the General Zodd stuff to Superman 2, but I think the movies become better when you put those two together. I think it is definitely a sum greater than its parts type experience with Superman 1 and Superman 2. But with this movie itself, yeah, I think you guys touched on quite a couple things that I 100% agree with. Christopher Reeve is Superman. I don't know that there has been another actor yet. I'm excited to see David. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Cornsweet. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm excited to see what James Gunn plans on doing tonally with the movie. I'm really looking forward to a trailer on that to see what his thought is. I'm excited to see if he kind of brings that same hope and positivity that I think you get from Christopher Reeve, that real kind of embodiment of the character. He's just phenomenal in this. So good. Gene Hackman is Lex Luthor. The real estate scheme is a theme that continues. But in terms of what Lex Luthor as a character was at this point in time, I mean, Gene Hackman's, pretty accurate. He was kind of generic-y supervillain, just doing bad shit because he's a bad person. The biggest thing from this movie is, my God, I thought there was more Superman in this movie. This movie actually needs more of Christopher Reeve as Superman, whether that be like actually doing something with Lex Luthor as opposed to him just kind of flying out, grabbing him and dropping him off in prison. We didn't talk about that at all, how there's like no real major confrontation. It's just like, oh yeah, he flew in, picked him up, flew him to prison, dropped him off, the end. That's it. That's how it goes. I don't love Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. Just, I don't know. She's just never been my favorite. Overall, I think from a 7 to a 7.5, I'd probably bring it down to like maybe a 6. It's not the end all be all. It's a really positive thing for what would come. Superman 2 knowing what comes with Superman 2, definitely like this kind of kickstarting it and it kind of being an overarching movie 1 and 2 definitely helps. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, give it a watch. Watch both. If you have the time, just watch 1 and 2. It's definitely worth it.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Share it with your friends and family. Leave a rating wherever you listen. Really helps us out, and a review if you can. Hit up the show notes to make yourself a black Superman, and hit up the Casker links to get that rum delivered to your door. You can check out Superman the movie as of recording on HBO Max or Max. Check us out next time. As always, watch responsibly.